So Queendom episode 2, or episode 1 technically, just ended. And as I originally thought, the preview episode, which is, I guess is episode 0 now, it was pretty much the first 40-ish minutes of this show. But there were some changes in editing and like music choices, so I guess they didn't get the rights to those musics. And then in the preliminary performances, those were actually included in the beginning as well. And then in between those were these little video bumpers, chess themed video bumpers, where the girls kind of like faced off against each other and they kind of acted like they were playing chess and just like saying what their intentions were. Now, if you want to see my reactions to those performances from before, and also my recap of the first episode 0, it is available in the link below. And another reason to go to the link below is that if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see kind of more still images during this video, whereas you'll see the full video properly on the link below if you go there for this review of episode 1. You don't have to see episode 0 before continuing, because what I will be doing differently here now is that the competition has started. So to me, I'm not recapping these episodes in detail, but more I'm just going to give you my opinions, my observations, and also if it calls for it, I'm going to, come up with ideas for rankings or maybe even predictions about, what I will expect personally. This is just my personal opinion, obviously. And so if you're interested in that, let's get started, right? So this is the first part. My first impressions basically is that in terms of the preliminary performances they gave and the ones they showed at the beginning of this video, like my initial views were that LOONA and Cosmic Girls were on top, but I neglected to rank the other 4. And I basically, if you go to my other video, you'll know that I said, hey, to me they're pretty much like around the same area, and that's still true right now. And so my thoughts, I'm just going to expand them a little bit now that I'm kind of more giving my opinions. And it's just, I'll add in like, yeah, LOONA, they're top shelf. And Cosmic Girls, they really did maximize the stage for their showing. But as for VIVIZ, they came out and they were pretty groovy feeling. But then I also felt like the choices in terms of the outfits and the way they had the set up, it did feel a little small. And maybe they were intending to do something intimate like that, but it did feel like a little bit like a small club. Kind of like you go there and then like it's like a mini cabaret, like a really tiny cabaret club. And so that's the feeling I had from theirs. And I guess it's kind of early for them to be doing something grand scale, but that was just my feeling, and I don't know if it really like showed off much of what they could do. Now Kep1er, they did have good music and they performed well overall. I didn't feel that they were as clean as LOONA though, or Cosmic Girls. But then I also did feel that they had more power in their moves, so that was kind of a contrast. And some people might like that more. You might like how they snap harder and, their hair kind of like goes wilder. But that my feeling was that it wasn't as clean as like LOONA. I just really liked LOONA's performance. Now Brave Girls, they actually didn't sing very much, and so I didn't feel like they showed much. And then in terms of like the physicality and their choices between their outfits and stuff, I just felt they could have done better. Like I didn't think the open jacket really helped with the body shapes. And they're technically like viewed as the older girl group as well, even though there's Hyolyn there who's like the senior of them. She's in really great shape. And so I don't think that these girls should have came out and used these kind of outfits maybe. And also like even like during the show they kind of do these like posh LA housewives on reality TV kind of outfits. I don't think they should do that. But then I've seen them dress just casually, and then I've seen them dress really nicely for stages as well. And it's a completely different like story. And so this is really just down to outfit choice. I really think that they should be more aware of that, and or whoever's making those choices for them, if that's happening, they should be more aware of that as well. Now, and when it comes finally to Hyolyn, I think she was good in every department, and really the only thing that let her down about her performance, I think, like in my opinion, it was the continuous camera shot. If you watch that performance, it's one camera shot throughout the whole thing, and I think it just like stripped away a little bit of the dynamism that the other performances had, you know. And I get the idea behind the choice, but I just feel like it lost some dynamism, and she doesn't have like a whole crew of people there. So, if the other ones just had like one camera shot, it still would have worked better for them, like maybe for Luna, because there's just so much going on with so many people. So for her, I think that she could have kind of used a little bit more camera cuts. Although I don't know what the rules are, but that's just my opinion of how it went down. And so moving on to when you're gauging the reactions of the different groups after hearing about or confirming their spot in Queendom 2, VIVIZ, they seemed really ready. Like when they got the news, they were just like, "Yeah, let's do it. We're going to do this." And they seem to have that kind of confidence. And I guess it comes from just being a group for so long. I think they're in a girl group they've still been a girl group as long as anyone aside from Hyolyn, right? And then when it comes to Kep1er, they were just excited, and so there wasn't really anything to say there. But when it came to LOONA, on the other hand, they actually thought it was a joke, and they didn't believe it. But then when they did believe it, then they got competitive, and you could see that they came to fight, and that's why I think that they're gonna do really good because they seem really down to earth, like they don't have a big head about themselves, but then they take the challenge when it's presented to them. These are like little things you can just see in their character and how they react. Now Cosmic Girls, they're they're very executive looking, like they look like people in charge of what they're doing. And so it shows like there's like a boardroom and everything, and the way they talk about it, it's like they're the ones making the decisions. And so uh, when they were told that they were the most requested group up front, that was probably really world confirming for them, and they were just like they were just fierce and ready to do it. That was my impression of their receiving this invitation to Queendom 2. When it came to Brave Girls, on the other hand, they're really relaxed, and it almost seemed like they could have done it or couldn't have done it. And even like their bosses trying to send them a sentimental letter, and I guess it would have like hopefully they would have reacted differently to it, but they kind of just did casually or kind of like thought that was a joke too. Like it's the guy's letter. They didn't really take it that seriously, and maybe that's a good thing because Brave Girls, I think that they're at their best when they're actually more sincere and casual. Now, as for Hyolyn, they don't show her until later, right? But as for her, they just basically show her and she was eager for the experience. So when you get to the actual set, it's all like made up like a chessboard. You can pretty much see the characters of these girls as they're kind of putting on more of a face this time. And so what you see is Cosmic Girls, they're like maintaining their desire to tear up the stage, while they're wrestling with the opposite emotions of, they are kind of slightly intimidated and nervous at the same time, but, they can like sit up and just like be ready to actually fight. And Brave Girls, on the other hand, they were hilariously awkward. And they're called the Brave Girls, but they do these things where they're like afraid to come on stage. And then you even see like Eunji, who's like the center, and she's like trembling a bit and looking to her bandmates to solve this issue of just kind of continuing casual conversation with the other girl groups. And it's actually endearing, actually. I actually thought it was funny and cute that they were doing that. Like they were just so awkward. And it's like at the same time they're dressed like these housewives and they seem so posh and stubborn, but then like in reality they're just nervous casual girls, and that's why I think that they have an issue with their branding and marketing, and they just really need to figure out who they are more clearly. And I just think they're normal people. Even later on, when you see them getting up on the morning of their performance, like everyone's just getting in the car, some girls are having a coffee or whatever, but they're just like eating these bowls of rice porridge, and it's like the most mundane food you can eat, right? So I just think these girls just need to be more sincere. They should dress like how they are typically, and then when they need to dress up, they need to dress like really like pay careful attention to it. But I actually like them, and I just wish that there were some choices made that were better for them. Now LOONA, they're way more chill and down to earth than any other group, I think. And I think they are trying to avoid getting a big head, and they just don't have one. And I think that always works favorably for them because the way they engage with the Brave Girls, like the Brave Girls are like saying, "Oh, we're worried we're not going to have any friends." Immediately, LOONA goes and says hello to them, and then same thing with Kep1er. They're like nervous that no one's gonna know who they are, and LOONA's the first group to like say, "Hey, I listened to your song and I loved it," right? And they knew the dances, and it was very sincere as well. And so I think that LOONA's character is really coming out strongly in this show, and they're not like showing any bad sides of themselves at all. And I don't know if there is any bad sides to them because they seem sincere, and they're so like they're a team with good character, you know. And so when it came to Kep1er, I think they're smart to be innocent newbies, but I we know these people and they know they're like really good at performing and they're really fierce. But yeah, they're sincerely they're like a new generation. They've had all these girl groups to look up to now, and yeah, I think they are sincerely just like really reverent towards these other girl groups, right? Everyone commented on how Kep1er was really young. And then when I thought about it, I thought it was interesting because I think Yujin might be actually older than the girls from VIVIZ, but they've just been around longer and they're more experienced. But it was just funny, like how like she's older than them, and she might be older than a whole bunch of other people in that competition. But then like she looks so young because I guess it's just good genetics, right? So it's very lucky. But anyways, beyond that, I would say that VVs, they're really good at choosing their outfits. Like every time, I think they know their strengths. I think that's something that Brave girls could learn from because VV seems to know, and they look great as well. But I know that they're making good choices as well. And Hyolyn, my vibe from her is just she's really easygoing. She's not at all mean, but it looks like she could sit down and just intimidate people. But she doesn't actually act mean in any way. And I think she's just really there for the sincere opportunity to try something interesting, and it's going to be a good experience for her. So when we get to the second part, the game actually begins, and so now they're choosing their rivals, and I was actually really hoping that nobody would overlap when they chose their rivals, right? I wanted like the six-sided star where the lines could like go from one to one to one and then end up back home. But sadly, Cosmic Girls kind of had to choose Hyolyn and gave her a double choice. But then sadly, nobody picked the Brave Girls, right? And so that was like, I feel so bad for them because they already have like it looks like they're already awkward, socially anxious, and kind of like I'm not sure how good their esteem is. They're pretty much girls who had just had a lucky break with the track rolling, and it basically like that's how they're doing well right now. But I just think that I don't think they really feel like they have a big following yet, even though they're doing okay. I just feel like they could use like the boost in terms of their self esteem. But I think it was funny how choosing the rivals started out as some kind of like it was like a call out game, like, oh, you're gonna choose me, and everyone is so offended, right, if they got chosen because they thought it would mean that they were inferior, right? But then it quickly flipped to everyone wanting to be picked because then the tone was so respectful and it made you feel like you were actually a worthy challenger, right? And so that was like funny how just like everyone expected one way for it to be, and then it changed right away. And there was even then there was this point when during that rival selection where you know Xe was explaining her time on Unpretty Rap Star with Hyolyn and how she considered her she was considered a plus one, right? And she also said she was considered a freeloader. And Hyolyn even asked who called you that, right? But I don't think they ever showed. But that was actually a really touching moment because it shows like these behind the scenes stuff, and Xe looks like Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club and stuff, and it was just kind of like a semi sad but touching and sweet, sincere moment, and like I'm looking at the chat, and the chat is like they're weeping like mad, and Mnet couldn't evil edit this out enough, and so obviously the tension in the room kind of releases right here, and it releases pretty quickly actually. And so then it goes next to the section where they're choosing their performance order. And it was like extremely peaceful. Like literally nobody fought over anything. But like the Cosmic Girls, they'd when they did overlap with LOONA and Hyolyn for the sixth spot, LOONA chose spot 5. And then Hyolyn surprisingly just chose uh, uh, the other spot instead of competing with Xe, who did this like dramatic, this magnetic slap. It was the sixth spot, and so nobody fought against her. I'm really curious about what was whispered into their ears when like all the girls from Cosmic Girls went on stage and like tried to tell their people like what strategy to do. Like I don't know if they were gonna give up the sixth spot if Yolin actually wanted it, But it seemed like that might have been the case. But then like Hyolyn just like said, no matter where I perform, I'll be remembered. And I thought like, oh, yeah, that was like a really congenial move. And so the theme of the first round is going to be signature songs. Every girl has to reinterpret songs that represent them in an interesting way. And then after this, there's a brief montage from day 7, and you know, it kind of like lingers around the middle of the 2 weeks that they have to prepare for their performance, and it's a little bit semi-dramatic, right? But very in a very expedient way because they're barely showing anything. It's kind of just like a quick thing. It's like, oh, I want to do my best, so blah blah. Some people are kind of sick along the way, but like not really. And then uh, obviously that's like it's just a quick montage to kind of just switch to the next section, which is the third part, which has to do with the performances. And so we're in the third part of the show, and you know, in this first episode, unfortunately, they're only showing 2 performances. I guess they ran out of time. And if you're visiting from the website link below, the videos are also embedded on the page alongside this one, so you can just watch it there if you want. Or if you're on YouTube, they're also in. I think they're also there. Now, what we find out is that LOONA won't be able to perform because of COVID or COVID restrictions, but it's ultimately it was their own choice. I think they could have done something, but they chose to just go around it, and it makes me sad because I do think they're one of the most exciting. I can't praise them enough right now. But even though I was sad, I quickly perked up once they showed Mashiro's hair. It just made everything better. You know what's weird though? The pre-recorded audience cheers that they put on the show. Like I get it. It might be a value to the performers who, I guess some of them hadn't heard the screams of a live audience in a while, or even like Kep1er, who basically said that they haven't done a big concert yet. But like I'm just wondering how they even did the pre-recorded screams for the fans, and so that's kind of weird. But I can see how much it meant to people. So but it's just kind of awkward. So then I guess the first group that's going to be performing is VIVIZ, and so it shows them preparing to choose their signature song. And there was some chatter about how uh, people should know that they're from GFRIEND. And MG mentioned that people referred to her when they were describing her as the girl with long hair who looked like MG from GFriends. And so SinB hears this and she becomes flustered and her jaw is dropped because she's like, people actually don't know that we're from GFriend, and she's like disappointed that I guess they must have blended in so well before, or maybe there wasn't like much effort to make them uniquely known before that they're not known now. And I guess she wanted to rely on it to some degree that people would know them. Uh, but I guess it was like it was just surprising to her. It was funny. It was a funny moment to me that she thought more people would know who they were. And I guess people will eventually, but it was just maybe it's a little fresh and they just don't know right now. There's also this funny moment when they called Sawan, who was the former leader of GFriend, and she actually warned the girls about SinB's tendency to frown or have a stern look, which Mnet took advantage of and evil edited her, and so that was really funny. And but other than that, I was impressed with how hard they worked on their stage. It showed many cuts of just SinB just directing the dances, and I don't know if she's main dancer, maybe she is, but just this vibe I got from her, even in selecting the song, I got this vibe that even though Unha is officially designated the leader according to like K-pop profiles, I just felt like SinB was the leader, and I don't know if that's like the real thing and maybe they got it wrong or they wrote it down wrong, or maybe even I messed up somehow and I put it down wrong. But I just felt like SinB was the leader there. When it finally did come to performance night, though, I thought they all looked hot. Like they looked really nice. There's like it's like a girly kind of nice flowy look. I think perfect for their concept. They looked confident. And at some point, Unha before the performance claimed that the audience is gonna have tears, and then they did, and when she saw it, she was like so moved by it. And after the performance, she actually went backstage to tear up. And the chat, they were so extremely moved by this. I just saw so much crying spam. But other than that, yeah, I thought the performance was really good, and it was a good idea to mash up "Time for a Moon Night" and the song "Rough." And if I could change one thing about that performance, I just thought the faces maybe could have been more expressive, or the cameraman could have shown it more. I know that there was a part of their preparations where they said they wanted to be less direct in the feeling they were conveying. That's, I guess they were more deliberate in the GFRIEND days, and maybe it was kind of more, I don't know if the word is campy, but it was just uh, maybe more theatrical, or I'm not really sure what they meant, but they wanted to be less direct. That was the basic term. But I just felt like during the song there were stretches of choreography where I thought I wanted to feel more through their facial expressions, and I don't know if that's just like SinB just going one way, but I think it was the other ones too. I think they kind of like that stoic face, and I think a lot of people do it, but I just didn't feel much about it, and that's a personal thing too. If you watch my reaction videos, you'll know that I just don't like uh, the stoic face. Like, I'm not really sure how to read it sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm missing subtleties of it, and I have like some kind of like Asperger's that I'm not aware of, or autism. But I know that I generally do not get the stoic face a lot of the time, and I'm not sure if it's the same face that I'm supposed to interpret in many ways, or if they're doing something with that face that I'm not noticing. But overall, I would give their performance a 7.6. And an alternative way I could have connected more through the song is maybe in subtitles for the song lyrics, because I didn't really know what they were singing about, and so I maybe that was part of the reason I couldn't be as moved as everyone else was. But I do recognize that other people react very strongly to it, and maybe, like, to me, because I didn't understand the lyrics, I had to like wonder if it was the lyrics, or if it was nostalgia, or if they were seeing something in the performance that led there, or maybe more people just appreciate things on a level that I just don't. So yeah, uh, next with Hyolyn. So when it came to her prep, she had a hard time coming with songs because her library of songs was so huge. And so when she finally did choose "Touch My Body," which was a Sistar song, I was impressed that she went out on her own and she bought set props. Like, she actually went, and she's like, I have a tropical theme in mind, and she got these things just for like the beginning of the song, basically. I thought Mnet was supposed to provide that stuff, and it's supposed to be like a fairness thing that everyone got the same budget or something. But I really just thought that I guess she just wanted to be responsible and make exactly the right choices for herself, and I do commend her for that. She did a good job. Now, when it came to the performances, uh, they did mention that Hyolyn was anxious before she darted off stage, and she darted off stage so fast that we hit a commercial break. And then when we returned, there was absolutely no explanation until the end of the performance, where it explained how apparently she broke her heel and she had to go backstage, and I don't know if she took off her shoes or exchanged them with something else, but she basically had to perform without the heels. And so I'm wondering, like, I'm curious, like, how much that actually affected the performance. Like, would she have connected slightly different? Because uh, even to me, the performance was actually pretty impressive. The set design was extremely high quality, with the whole jungle theme and the projections, and they had this video waterfall and everything. But the set itself also like physically changed elevation, and then the people were like, it was like an elevator with people going up and down, and it just seemed grand. The whole scale of it was just big concept. And when she was dancing and singing, everyone was the dancing and singing itself was really untouchable. Like, she did a good job. Now, I really don't have any criticism of her. Actually, it was great on pretty much all counts, and so. You get to the end of this thing and the stage is even catching on fire. Like, that's how good it is. And that's how, like, that her budget just seemed way bigger. And so I don't know. I give it an 8.7. And no, I know that like that's like it's not I'm not saying it's 10. I'm talking like this is a 10, but I gave it an 8.7. Now, I know if you want to know my criticisms of it are, there just aren't any. You know, I feel like my scores, I feel them out. You know, I don't really use an objective standard here, and to me, it was an 8.7, and maybe the last stretch is just being held hostage by things that are out of her control, or maybe her heel breaking had something to do with something missing from the performance. But you know, I don't see the details of it, and I can't really explain why I give it an 8.7. But you know, maybe her voice could have had a different tone. Maybe her body could have looked different. Her outfit could have been slightly different. I don't know what leads it to a 10, but I'm just saying it, to me it feels like an 8.7. And so far that puts her above VIVIZ. But yeah, it does put her above VIVIZ, but I think it's still too early to sort the ranks. So I don't know, and I can't really predict where the others are going to fall without really seeing what they do the first time. Because I like to wipe the slate clean. I don't know anything about these girls, anyways, and I don't want to assume. But, you know, if I were to guess just based on preliminary performances, I think that Cosmic Girls and Luna are going to knock it out of the park. I think they're going to get higher. But Hyolyn put on such a good stage that I'm actually curious if Cosmic Girls and Luna can top that. And then Kep1er, I really don't know. They truly are a wild card. Like I said in my preliminary review, that maybe they could have been out of their depth, and I that's just from watching them and saying, hey, they're not they're not dancing as clean as the other girl groups, but they are dancing powerfully. And so it just depends on what they decide to do, and what they're doing is something they know. So if they perfected that so well, and they're just gonna make some kind of change to it, that's not gonna be, well, it'll probably be trivial at best. I think that they can really get a clean performance. Like that's actually what I want to see from them. Like I already know they go hard. I want to see them be precise like a surgeon. That's what I want to see. You know, like even the hair has got to be in the right place, not like falling over the wrong side. Like I see performers dance and they have perfect mastery of their hair. They know when to whip it. It lands perfectly in the place it does. It doesn't cover their eyes after they do something. It just, I just see so much precision in other people, and maybe that's why Luna tied up their hair for their preliminary performance, because it added to that. Maybe they couldn't perform, but then like that was a way to beat that problem. So yeah, overall, I don't watch the performances more than once and re-rank them, because I think the first viewing is the only thing that should count, and it has to be fair, because no one, you're not prepared to look for anything else. You just look for what pops out at you, and whatever they present well pops out at you. And I don't think that you should watch it more than once when you're ranking, because it wouldn't be fair. Because if I just looked at everything, then someone could just put 100 things on the stage, and I wouldn't notice it the first time, but it might notice it like the second, third, fourth time. So yeah. Other than that, I do look forward to this next episode, where they actually finish all the performances so I can watch them. Unfortunately, Luna's not going to perform. But yeah, I hope they don't cut off performances like this in the future. I just want to see all of them perform in one episode, and then we don't have to be kind of like wondering. Like I'm pretty sure that we're gonna lose steam to some degree, and maybe I'm not gonna be able to adequately rank these performances comparatively. Like it's forcing me to maybe watch them a second time, and that wouldn't be fair. So I'm just gonna. That's why I'm ranking these guys with a number now and how I feel now, so that when I get there to the future, then I can compare them later. And who knows? Maybe my hunch will change, and maybe my numbers won't make sense compared to the numbers I gave today. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. That's my overview for this episode 1. Hopefully it was good to you. If you like it, give it a like. If you don't like it, you can give it a dislike, and you can also let me know what's up. And yeah, I want to know what your thoughts are on anything I've said. I'm clearly gonna disagree with people, because obviously, I'm just a layman. I'm not familiar that much with K-pop compared to other people. I just like competition shows, and I like watching competition shows, and so I watch all these competition shows. And then I guess that's pretty much it. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, and then also bookmarking the link below if you do want to watch these videos in the future, because who knows what happens. Mnet has been blocking my videos. They're retroactively blocking my videos, actually. Like I've had 2 videos that they blocked so far, and these things were up for days, and then they block it later, and then they region block it, and then like actually block it, and I'll try to edit it and remove everything I can, and they, even though I do all their requests, and then at some point it's actually just my content that they're claiming now, and they're just doing it. I don't know if it's like to be spiteful, but it just seems that way to me. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, and I'm gonna end it before I keep talking again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.